What's up? About to get into this topic here in a little bit. Just waiting to see if somebody wants to come in. I know it's daytime, so most drivers are probably out there getting their drive on. Looks like it might be a slow day. What is up, anybody that just came in? Big H Trucking, what's going on? David Boyd, what's up? Hey, broke out a new pick today. His hair's getting a little bit too long right now. It's not supposed to be like this. But sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. Sean, what is up? So, what I wanted to talk about today was some downgrades. And it's a little bit of clickbait. You know, I just took a little bit from some of my other drivers out there with some of this clickbait on these videos and stuff, but that's kind of what the title was about. But I do want to talk about dangerous downgrades. So if you happen to be in here, you're a trucker, put in the chat like what downgrades you don't like, and I'm going to talk about the one that I think is probably one of the most dangerous ones that you probably wouldn't even expect. But right now, I'm at the most, I don't know what to call this place. Right now, I am at the Petro, Atlanta, Georgia, I-285 exit 12, down here by the fuel island, which is pretty much the only place to park, or the only place I like to park. Dead Man's Pass, if you're talking about cabbage, you know, in the winter, I could see that. In the regular summer day, you know, that's just another run in the park. But I'm going to talk about a downgrade that is bad in the winter, summer. It doesn't matter what time of day, you know, whatever. Yeah, Rusty, I'm going to tell you what. There are trucks. You know, I didn't even drive around the regular parking lot. It doesn't look like it's full yet, but I deliver tomorrow morning at 09 at Costco, about 15 miles away. Otherwise, I'd have probably stopped a little bit further out, but I'm gonna be on this inside loop. So, for example, if I'm gonna be headed up towards McDonough, I might have stopped out a little bit further, but 4112 WC, check this out. Tell me who I'm talking about. Some of you reefer drivers out there, it's unbelievable what some of these trucking companies do. All right, let's see. That wasn't my good impression. That wasn't my good impersonation of who I was talking about. But anyway, all right, so dangerous downgrade. So we already had my man Romaine put Dead Man's Pass or cabbage. He also put Tennessee mountains coming through North Carolina. That right there is one of the ones I don't miss. It's not dangerous, I wouldn't say, but it's not one that I really like to run, especially at night. Yes, Swooper, we go. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right, so anyway, but yeah, that I forget the name of those mountains, the Black Hills or something like that. The thing I don't like about that is it just takes so long to go through there. And it's a lot better than it used to be when they had construction out there. Yeah, Romaine is Jamaican as fucking. Boy, he better use some good toothpaste, because that boy is all teeth. And I don't mean calling him boy like that, just boy because he's younger. All teeth. All right, so let me get to what downgrade I think, or it's not up and downgrade, where I'm talking about is the most dangerous. A lot of people aren't going to expect this one, but the grapevine. And the reason I say the grapevine is there's so many lanes on the grapevine. You either got like 4 or 5 lanes across that bad boy. I think it might be 4. But, man, you got either going up or down. You got trucks that are empty, trucks that are heavy. You got cars doing 75, 80. You got trucks doing, you know, I think whatever the speed limit is, 35. Then you got trucks doing 55, going around trucks that are, you know, it's just like too much movement. You know what I'm saying? So you're coming up behind somebody pretty quick. You're about to move into a lane to go around. Then there's somebody coming up like super fast behind that. Same thing on the way down. Just too much erratic speeds on that, or too many different speeds on the same road. And it's almost the same thing on coming into Barstow or Ontario, whatever it is, that downgrade going there. All kinds of trucks and cars doing all these different speeds. I just think it's dangerous because of that. It's not a hard drive or anything like that. It's just a lot of motion. So as far as the most dangerous downgrades, I mean, if we're just gonna say winter, it could be a bunch of them. But I really don't like messing with I-70 coming into Denver. First of all, I mean, it's not necessarily dangerous, but it's just like a long time to stay focused, and a lot of curves going through there, and a lot of, depending on how heavy you are, you're gonna be pulling a lot of hills. And if some of you guys remember, there's that driver that came down I-70 in Denver and killed all those people, ran into some still traffic at the bottom. I was in training when that was going on, and I came down that mountain the very next day that happened. All right, I don't know, those mountains with 4 lanes to me ain't that bad. I hate my whole lane. I just think too many lanes, this is too many vehicles doing too many different speeds. I'll tell you another one I don't like, probably worse than any of them I named, is 68 in Maryland. And hey, anybody that's watching this, they are cracking down on speed limits in California. I've had 2 people talk to me about getting speeding tickets. One with Prime, and he's all right, but another guy got a speeding ticket and he got fired. So I think, I don't know what the one guy that got fired, I don't know what speed he was doing, but the speed of the guy at Prime, it was like 62 miles an hour. So, and then I was on Facebook and saw a Facebook post by California Highway Patrol talking about that stuff. So if you're driving through, and I think one was on Needles, one got pulled over on Needles, so that's basically the desert. No reason trucks shouldn't be doing, you know, 65, you know, 70, whatever out there. But one got pulled over there, and I think the other one was on 10 coming into Southern California. So watch those speeds out there. Let's see. Somebody's in agreement with 68 sucking. 95 through New York City. Anything through New York City I don't like. And it's not necessarily the roads, just everything. Hey, I don't mean to put you out there like that, Romaine, but do you guys in New York, Connecticut area, is there anybody out there selling paint that's anything other than beige, brown, manila, gray? I mean, there ain't a splash of color in that whole city once you get out that way. It just is depressing as fuck. Let's see. Yeah, I was coming down 68. I don't remember when the last time was I was on it, but I vowed that I would be taking any alternate route possible next time I'm having to get on that. Well, to be honest with you, Rusty, I'm not sure that I ever really did 55 in California. I may not have been going 65, but I definitely wasn't going 55. My man says Lyle has the biggest beef with that northeast part of the country. It's hilarious. I just can't stand it. And I mean, it's just like motherfuckers on top of motherfuckers out there. It's just like congestion. Somebody needs to get out there selling some paint, something other than brown, manila, tan. Cincinnati, you know what, in the wintertime, you know, at Cincinnati, I do not like Cincinnati in the wintertime. Coming through there, especially if it's kind of icy, you don't realize how many bridges Ohio has until you're going through there in the wintertime. And they got that big ass curve going through Cincinnati also. Same thing with Pittsburgh, same thing with Cleveland, same thing with Kansas City. Shit, I'm sure I'm missing some more out there. Yeah, Cincinnati, Flagstaff's another one. You know what? A lot of that stuff out there, whether it's I-17 or going down 40, at night, that changes the entire drive for me. It's like sometimes it's so dark out there in that area of the country going through them mountains that it's almost like my eyes start playing tricks on me. Like it looks like there might be trees or something. I can't even explain it. But yeah, I don't like driving that at night or anything out there at night. I mean, I do it because I'm a night runner for the most part, or when I can. And you know what? Another one haven't even spoke about, which is why if you're coming into Salt Lake City, I always say take I-80 to 84 down to 89 into Salt Lake City. That downgrade, especially if it's winter, but that downgrade coming into Salt Lake City, I mean, you're coming down there at kind of a faster speed, and you're coming down into that like congestion. I don't really like that all that much either. Okay, we're talking about Kentucky. Anything south of Kentucky, their road prep is horrible. Yeah, I got shut down last year in Nashville, of all places, because of road conditions. What's up, Tommy Unfiltered? Just got done watching a couple of your videos. I'm not sure, or listening to them yesterday night. All right, so then let's talk about some off-brand highways. I was on a highway, and man, I don't even know what made me get on this highway. My Qualcomm was telling me to take this highway, and my other GPS was saying stay on the main road. But there's some off-brand highway out there by Hagerstown. And man, and I went through there in the winter time too. It was like speed limits 25 miles an hour. I wasn't getting no grip or no traction. Or I mean, I was getting traction coming down, but I wasn't really slowing down all that much on some of these downgrades. That was probably one of the scariest times also. So I forget that highway. But any of them Pennsylvania state routes, I try to stay off of those. I don't know if I'm talking about 17 or what, but there's a ton of them out in Pennsylvania that I got tricked into. I learned my lesson. I don't mess with them anymore if I can get around it. But there's a ton of them in Maryland. And actually, one of the scariest times on a downgrade, I think it was in Maryland. I don't remember what state route it was on. But I had a student at the time. And the students, now sometimes you have to forget what the speed limit is, right? If you're seeing all these serious upgrades and stuff, and the speed limit's like 35 or something, sometimes you just got to let it rip to keep that momentum up. And what happened was, I forget what road it was on, but it was like a 13% grade or something like that. Somebody told me that. I didn't see that myself. But he's going up the hill, and he was going so slow that he stopped. Like, the engine just stalled. So we're on this 13% upgrade. The engine stalled. He sets the brakes, wakes me up. There's a line of cars behind us. And so I ended up having to get back into my old school 1980s drag racing days, when gotta get on that gas and gas and brake at the same time, get them RPMs up and get going. But that was a little touchy. I wasn't sure what was gonna happen in that situation. But there's a lot of those state routes in the Northeast that are just horrible. In Vermont and all that stuff. I just went through one of those the other day. Or not the other day. I don't know, month and a half ago. Straight ice out there. I don't know if any prime drivers go 460 east or west of Virginia. I don't know for sure. I'm not sure if I've ever been on it or not. One thing I do know is when I was in training, that 79 through West Virginia and Pennsylvania almost broke me. But I just came down from this morning. I took I-70 or I-81 to 77 to 485 to 85 to get down here. So I went through a lot of those mountains over there, but nothing crazy. Misfit Flatbed Trucker, what's up? Jan, what's up? There's another one that just crossed my mind, but I for some reason I can't remember it. I don't know what highway it is going through Pittsburgh, but I was on one maybe about a month and a half ago, and it was a little wintry, and they got that super tight curve going through that downtown area. But I don't know, anybody else got any other suggestions on some downgrades? Or I tell you what the worst one was, or one of the worst ones. I was in training at the time, and I don't remember what highway that is. So you got 80 that goes into Reno from the west, and there's another state route that goes through some national forest and comes through Reno from like the north. And that was some serious curves going through there at night. I don't know about prime drivers not being centered in the lane that much. But just last night, I stayed up in Mount Airy, North Carolina. I was at the Sheets out there. Man, that Sheets didn't get like it didn't even get halfway full all night. And I just wanted to see this morning when I woke up and started driving. So I got on Trucker Path and looked at what it said the parking situation was at the Flying J right across the way. Full. Who takes a Flying J over a Sheets? I don't get it. I don't get it. Yeah, FedEx, Estes, any of them doubles in the wintertime, I try to keep my distance from and keep an eye on them, you know, down the road, because them guys are not afraid to get in any accidents. Yeah, she doesn't have showers. That's why I try to hit up a Love's where we got free showers at, or a Petro TA. I got a bunch of credits there, so hit up a shower there, then stop wherever. Rudders actually might be better than Sheets, but it seems like every Rudders I go to, it's like every local driver parks their truck there. I was just at a Rudders the other day, and I'd say that 40% of the trucks didn't move the entire time I was there, and I was there almost 24 hours. Yeah, I have. You know, I wasn't sure if that was Ashland. I know that there's places. There's a Golden Corral in Virginia somewhere, but I've been to the Ashland Flying J. I think I was just at that Petro in Indiana just not that long ago. Probably within the last 3 weeks. Man, Rudders has those little sliders out there. They got like the same salads, all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I just thought it was a little bit more diversity to their menu than Sheets. I have still never actually seen no lot lizards out here. Speaking of a 1-9 truck stop, one of the places I used to stop at in Virginia used to be like a mom and pop truck stop, and 1-9 bought them out, so I don't know what's up with that. Yeah, Ruth or Glen is what I was thinking about. I like that area because there's always parking out there. I don't know if that York, I mean, I've never really stopped there because, you know, I got my place I stopped at in Nebraska, but this Petro here is pretty high on the list. You know, if I open my door right now, I get the fine fragrance of 30-year urine. So, and the parking out here isn't quite as bad as I think Dallas. Not Dallas. Is it Dallas or Oklahoma City? I think it might be Oklahoma City. There's a Petro out there, and those spots are so narrow. There's a lot of dope Petros and TAs out there. The best Petros and TAs are always going to be better than the best Loves for the most part, and definitely Pilots and Flying J's. But you get one of them good Petros or TAs, they're the bomb. I just saw a lot lizard in Georgia. The girl was gorgeous and built like a brick. If you saw one that looked good, she probably had a badge in her purse. Yeah, the one south of Louisville is nice, but there's a new Petro out in between Joplin and Springfield. That one's the bomb. They got one, and I don't remember where it's at, but it's almost like it's a glass building. It's somewhere in the Northwest. I don't remember where that one was, but that one's nice. You got obviously Rafine in Virginia, super nice. Yep, somebody just mentioned the Rafine one. The one at the bottom of the Grapevine, that one's nice. The one, I don't remember if it's Oregon or California going into Oregon. It's right by a way station. Actually, you have to go through the way station to get to that Petro. I think it's on 5. Just coming into Oregon. That one's super nice. Yeah, I don't really judge the like, I'm not going to be rolling around on the floor. I mean, when I was in the Marines, I took enough questionable showers as it was. So, you know, if I'm just going to be in there, in and out, that's not going to be that big of a deal. I'm not licking the floors or anything. But I could probably guarantee you this shower up here isn't that nice. And it's an Atlanta thing. You know, there's always people in Atlanta trying to do side hustles and shit like that. You know, there was one time I was up here and somebody was trying to, I think he thought I was going to pay for a shower with my own money. So he just got done cleaning the shower and he was like, you know, hey, if you give me $8, I'll just keep this open for you. Ontario, that's the one. Ontario, Oregon. I wasn't sure what highway that was on. Everybody's always got an angle out here. Yeah, definitely got to wear the sandals up in. About the only time you'd ever see me in some flip-flops. I hate a flip-flop, and I always, even before trucking, I just hated them. All right, well, we're glad you turned your life around and you don't have to worry about as many jails and homeless shelters or anything like that taking showers. So what's up from Germany? So anyway, that's about it. You know, I was happy to get out of the Northeast. Coming down to Atlanta really wasn't, I mean, it's a upgrade a little bit, but definitely not my favorite place to pick up or deliver. So now the good thing about coming down here to Atlanta is there's always going to be a washout nearby, and it's probably my favorite as far as flying, or as far as blue beacons go, probably the best place for a washout, stuff like that. Quick for the most part. Well, I'm glad you survived that gunshot. So hopefully I can bounce up out of this, bounce up out of Georgia. Man, a hand seems like it would hurt worse than getting shot in the arm or something. I don't mind driving in the South so much as just timing stuff in Atlanta is just, you know, I don't think traffic in Atlanta is as bad as what a lot of people think. It's just unpredictable. So normally I try to park within 60 miles of where I'm gonna deliver. Now there's a bunch of places around 60 miles of Atlanta, but I don't want to park that far out because I don't know what the traffic's going to be like in the morning. So I had to come all the way down here just so I don't have to worry about it as much. Man, I ain't turning on no damn. I don't even know how to turn a super chat on or off. But it's not like a brother can't use it. It's been an expensive another fucking week. Jesus Christ. I'm pretty sure I got the watch hours to do that, but like I said, I'm not going to do that either way. Unless it automatically pops up for some reason, but Chicago, now that's a different story. Chicago, you know, you got to drive through their prison rules. I know what the speed limit is, all that stuff, but if you go the speed limit out there, I mean, it's bad enough being a road hazard anyway, but try to be doing that out there in Chicago. Yeah, right. It gets greater later. Yeah, that's a good. I use that phrase myself. I just spoke with Terry maybe a couple days ago. I don't really like delivering in Chicago either. And I'm not talking about the outskirts of Chicago. I'm talking about like right in there. I'm not a fan of that. .55-mile-an-hour speed limits are stupid, and you know, listen, I drive within the limits of prime. You know, there's certain areas I'd probably be driving faster, but you literally got drivers out there for prime driving 55 miles an hour. And you know, it's different if you're like, okay, that I get better fuel economy, let me drive 55 when there's nobody behind me. But when you're driving through some of these major cities and you're going 55 miles an hour, that's a dickhead move right there. I don't like Connecticut. I don't like Vermont. I don't any of that stuff up there. I don't like. You know, I haven't gone down into Chicago proper too often. Maybe about 4 times total in 5 years, but I'm always worried about a bridge down there. Not quite as bad as Louisville, Kentucky, but I do got my head on a swivel and reading every single sign and making sure I read every single sign down there. You're going to have to elaborate on Dan Ryan 412. I don't know what that is. Did I miss something? And I'll tell you what was funny. I was in training, and I was coming out of Utah into like that Arizona, New Mexico. Oh, okay. The freeway. I was coming into that's not an easy ride at night either. Leaving Utah going into like that Arizona, Nevada area, and the Jake brakes on Freightliners are not like the Jake brakes on Peterbilt. So had I been driving a Peterbilt, it wouldn't have been the same thing, but I'm coming down this mountain. I got my Jake brakes on and everything, and all of a sudden I started thinking, man, it didn't hit me why this car was driving by me so fast, but I thought he was flying. Man, I got all the way down like 35 miles an hour on that thing because I didn't get off the Jake brake. am I making money running the Southeast? Well, this was just, I don't know. I guess we'll see what comes out. I mean, I don't ever look at anything individually. I'm consistent as far as what I do when I'm out here. So it really, I haven't seen much of a difference. What I don't see is any extra money running the Northeast. So that right there is just another reason not to want to go up there, paying all them tolls and shit, and then really not getting anything that's any better. So especially if you're in northern New York and you get let me not say a company name, you get a creamy substance that a lot of people like to eat as a probiotic. If you get anything like that, you definitely know that that ain't paying no money. Let's see. Man, if I could just stay east of Denver and then maybe I don't like east of Denver, maybe no further north than like Pennsylvania, no further east than like maybe North Carolina, all that. I mean, that'd be where I want to run, but I don't really have a choice in that matter. I am a glorified company driver, so it's not like I get a chance to pick what's going on. Oh, all right, Misfit Flatbedder. Yeah, she's doing. All right, never mind. What's up, Guillermo? Well, that's what I'm trying to work on, is getting back home, but I've been getting held hostage by I've been being held hostage by lack of funds. But December is going to be when everything it kind of levels out. I just got to keep my mind on that. Then, whatever. Yeah, this is how long I've been out here. This long. It ain't supposed to be this fucking long. What's up, Sergio? Just out here, you know, it's always something. Something that's like keeping me from being able to relax. You know, one thing I can tell you is that, you know, there have been times when I've been out here for shorter periods of time and got to that point where I just felt like, okay, I need a break, but I can't do it. So I haven't even allowed myself to get tired yet. Yep, so just trying to stay mentally focused. You know, some of the stuff that's going on at Prime is really kind of challenging my mental state of mind. What's up, Justin? A definite change of, well, a definite shift in culture is definitely in effect. Yeah, I did see that, and I saw some of your comments in there. I try not to comment on those videos because lately, nothing that I would really want to say would be anything that anybody would want to hear. As a matter of fact, I'm starting to get mad just thinking about it, to be honest with you. Yeah, that girl, boy, she, at first I thought she was just going to be out there brown nosing and all that stuff, and, you know, but she did bring the heat, and it's not that it really matters, but she did bring that heat. Yeah, like I keep saying, as far as the revenue goes on this truck right here, I personally can't complain about, and I'm only speaking about me. I can't complain. So it hasn't been about the revenue or anything like that that I see a lot of people complaining about. It's just some of this changes. Like, think about, like, for you guys at Prime, back when I started, you never had anybody, like, all these Facebook pages and shit, people bitching about everything. You never had that back then. And if you did, it was very sporadic. It might be about, it was just it would rarely happen. You would rarely have people talking shit during the meetings or, whatever like that. It never really happened. And then it's just been like, just every so often something changes, and like, I've had this conversation with people. Nobody could really put a finger on what it is, whether it was Andrea Mueller stepping down or whatever, and then it was the locks and people telling on each other because of the locks, and it was the whole COVID thing where it was just like, it's just been like death by 1,000 cuts. And now it's almost like can't recognize it. Love from India, ex-trucker from India. All right. Truck drivers I've never been in a truck in India, but there was, some of the most fearless truck drivers that I've ever been around with. Some of them truck drivers in, like, I know it's not the same, but Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, I was having to ride in the back, it was like a semi, and I was, having to ride in the back of one of them things, and they were taking some roads I was like very questionable about. I wouldn't want to drive them. $5,800 is a good week. And I believe her truck is paid off as well, so that's a pretty good. Yeah, I don't know much about Landstar, anything like that. I was just talking to somebody, and then I'm gonna get off this topic. They were talking about all these cameras and stuff, and then you have these people in the Facebook groups that were whining about having to wear a mask and shit like that. So they were whining about that, and then like a true, like I don't know if you want to call it an invasion of privacy happens, and all of a sudden some of these people are stepping in line, well, why don't you just quit? Well, you know what? Or somebody was saying, well, everybody's all talk and no action. Well, I just talked to a guy, or didn't talk to him. somebody emailed me. We were going back and forth on email, and he quit Prime, and he wasn't even planning on going to another job. He just said once they started bringing up the cameras, he just started getting curious and just looking around. He really wasn't thinking about going anywhere, and accidentally tripped up on a better job just because he got curious because of what was going on. So people, it's not a matter of if people are going to, it's a matter of how many you're going to. All right, enough about all that. I-40 north in North Carolina is not the best place to drive, especially at night in the rain, which it was the last time I went through there. So anyway, for those of you guys who just came in, there was a little bit of clickbait on this title, and I was doing that to pay my homage towards some of these other truck drivers out here that are, some of these titles don't even have anything to do with what people are talking about. So the beginning of this video, we were talking about downgrades or dangerous roads, stuff like that. If you happen to have one that you think is dangerous, go ahead and put that in the comments below, and we can all talk about that. We already went through a bunch of those earlier, but that's where the title came from in this video. I-40 Nashville. Nashville used to give me a little anxiety back, maybe my first year or two, maybe not 2 years. Let's say the first year, just because I wasn't exactly sure what lane I had to be in. And sometimes you got to make those, you got to get into that lane with not a lot of time to do it. So now that I know exactly how to get through there, that's not too bad of a place for me to go through. But if I know I'm gonna be going through Nashville, it's not going to be anything I look forward to doing. But just outside Nashville, there's some nice places to park. So I think we might have covered a lot of these downgrades. Nobody brought up, I think somebody might have brought up Monteagle, but that's really not that much of a deal. Yeah, Monteagle's not, it's not bad at all, but .322, I'm not exactly sure if that was the highway I was just on recently, but there was, I think that might be it. I got on that highway and I was actually, if it may not be that one, but it doesn't matter. It was just Pennsylvania. I actually got fucking mad driving through that. I was so pissed off. It was like raining up and down and curves, and I mean, and it seemed like it took forever. And the only reason I did it was I was leaving. I forgot where I was leaving, but my clock was going to be running out, and I was like, to get where I wanted to get, I definitely wasn't going to get there taking the highway, because it was going to be about another 30 minutes. And I hadn't driven this other highway before, and I was like, how bad could it be? And Lord, I found out. And I probably wasted more time messing with that. All right. Did I hear about Prime talking about putting sensors in the sleeper berth to make sure the drivers are in the sleeper berth? Listen, that was a joke. That was an April Fool's Day joke by Tim Travels doing that video. I told him people are going to believe him. Just went through Hagerstown myself just yesterday, as a matter of fact. Yes, I have picked up that Chobani, and the last time I was there, I had to get towed out of a spot by a front loader because they don't give a fuck about the mud where you're picking up all these trailers from. And there was a bunch of mud and snow out there, and I got stuck in it trying to pick up this trailer, and I had to get pulled out of there. And yes, those back roads were horrible, and yeah, it was like winter when I went there. Not my favorite place to pick up at. And as a matter of fact, one of my drivers just picked up a load there maybe yesterday or the day before. Justin, I just ran through 77 yesterday and today. Well, the difference, Leah, the difference between some of these downgrades and others is if you're taking 70 into Denver, that shit lasts forever. And I live in Denver, and there needs to be a real reason I'm going to take that into Denver. I don't mess with it until I know that there ain't no winter coming through there. I've seen chains up on that highway in May. It's just too unpredictable, and the drive isn't all that good. So normally I don't have to mess with it, but I've gone around that on occasion. It's just too long of a downgrade going into, or too long of a bad drive coming into Denver. All that curves and ups and downs, and Dubois. As a matter of fact, when I was on that road, that's where I stopped. I think it was Dubois or Dubois, however you want to pronounce it. The correct way that would be Dubois, but there's that. I think it's where. Well, I don't know if it was this city, but that day when I took that mountain road, whatever it was, I ended up stopping at the Sat Brothers out there. I think it's Dubois, but if it's not, there's the Sat Brothers somewhere out there that I stopped at. $412, I'm not the one to answer this, but yes, they do pay all that money for that equipment. Leah says the mountains out west are definitely bigger. Yeah, they're bigger, and a lot of times they're not quite as windy, but yeah, I don't like messing with those out there either, especially in the winter. Well, I'm talking about the French pronunciation of Dubois is, that's the correct way to say it, and I'm sure that city came from, or that city was named after that. Let's see. Oh, I'll tell you a mistake I made. As a matter of fact, I'd left Springfield, and I don't even know why I did it. I wasn't paying attention to the routes when I left, but I know with where I was gonna go, I should have just gone through Cairo, Illinois, kind of gone that route through Sykeston and all that, and go, that route. My dumbass went right through 65 through the Ozarks or, whatever that shit is. You want to talk about a badass drive. That was it. Going down into Arkansas and all that, that was a bad drive. There's some hills coming out in Oklahoma. What's the name of that place where we pick up at out in Oklahoma? Depending on what direction you're coming in from, that could be bad. Forget the name of that place. So anyway, that's about it. Let's see. My trainer had me do it and didn't even warn me. He was like, Leah, when I was training somebody, if I was coming up on a place that I knew, if I came up on a place I knew was going to be a challenge, then I set my alarm to wake me up right before I got to that. So that would be going through Nashville, going through, on I-40 through Knoxville, in Asheville, or any downgrades that I knew were kind of major downgrades, or any cities that I knew could catch people off guard. I tried to set my alarm or stay up for that, to go through that. Broken Bow, that's it. And I tried to stay up. Well, I would always stay up going down the Grapevine and coming into Ontario and all that, because making sure that the guys stayed on the truck routes and all that stuff through there. Uh 412, you talking about Eric, or what was his name? Martinez? Not Eric. Ernest Martinez. I don't know if he passed away on 49 or what. I can't remember being on 49. Yeah, that bridge leaving Cairo is a pretty tight bridge, especially if you're coming across and another truck is coming the opposite direction. But for some reason, that is one of my favorite drives, just driving through Cairo. I don't know. I like going through there in the daytime. That city has so much history. And I didn't know about it, but I just saw that town and I just said, you know what, there's got to be something historic about this town. So I Googled it, and it has a very interesting history. Yeah, I don't know what caused that accident, but could have been a number of things. One thing that people don't talk about is some of these loads we pick up, especially these dropping hooks and shit. You got drivers that have been up expecting the load to get done. Then the load's not done, and you really can't sleep because you don't know if you're going to be able to sleep for 5 minutes or 10 hours. Then you get the load. You might be up, a day, or not being able to sleep, and then you got to run like the entire way. Especially if they were late on the load. I don't know. Yeah, 412. I did get that impression myself. I'm not a big fan of dropping I'd rather, just back my ass up into a dock and just load me. Maybe I like a dropping hook if I got a raggedy trailer, just to get rid of it or something like that. But I ain't. I'm not. I'm not one of them people that's just like all happy when I get a drop and hook. Now maybe a drop at the other end, at the receiver, maybe that I like a little bit better. But a pickup at some of these places that are so erratic as far as timing can go. And sometimes they act so nonchalant about it. It's like, I don't know. But hey, speaking of Ernest, I just picked up out there a couple days ago. As a matter of fact, it was a load that was late, and it was a 100-mile load picking up at, what's up, Christy? Damn, you made it all the way out to Manuka already? It was a load that was picking up in Northeast Maryland, one drop in Swedesboro, New Jersey, and one drop in Monroe Township, New Jersey. The load was late. The first drop was 45 miles away, and I got the load about 45 minutes before I was supposed to deliver. So I was a little bit late on that load, but I made them right on the bills what time I left there. Oh, I could see how flatbed definitely would be. I could see you trading off some good equipment for some bad equipment on a drop and hook on those. While you're out in Manuka, Christy, run down to that Love's and get you some NAF. Or run down to that grocery store, which is probably one of the most expensive grocery stores I've ever been to. But run down there while you're there. All right, I think in general, Ernest got the short end of the stick training-wise and definitely contributed to what happened along with his attitude. Just my opinion. Here's the thing, and here's my thoughts on that, and it's the biggest problem with training is as soon as the student starts getting close to their miles, and definitely if they hit their miles, their focus starts to kind of wane a little bit, and I wouldn't say that. I can't explain. It's like kind of thinking more about trying to hurry up and get off the truck than actually just driving for that period of time. And that's one thing I think is pretty dangerous, is when a trainees hit their miles and then they're getting slow walked back to the terminal to get their own truck. Now, back when trucks were at a shortage, that made, they had to do what they had to do. But if there's no truck shortage and a trainee gets their miles, there's nothing more dangerous than driving a truck with somebody that already has their miles and just waiting to get called in. I just don't think the mental focus is quite as sharp. And me for that matter, I had a situation where I had a driver. He hit his miles and everything, and we were on our last load to get him home. We'd already done our miles, whatever miles need to get done. I forgot. I'm pretty sure it was 50,000 or 40,000. I don't remember, but we did the miles, and we were on our last load picking up out in Ohio, going to Salt Lake City, and we're just trying to hurry up and get out there. I'm trying to get home because I don't take time off when I'm training, because I don't want a student to be like you know, I don't want to prolong their agony, which is one reason I'm definitely not trying to do it right now. But anyway, we're on our last load. I'm like, let's hurry up and get out of here. It was supposed to be a drop and hook, but they're like, oh, it's not loaded yet. Just go ahead and park in front of it in the dock, and we'll tell you when you can, get it. So this is the first time I'm telling this story. I've mentioned it in a few videos, but I said I don't snitch, so I wasn't gonna snitch on myself. But we get loaded. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pull forward, get back there, load lock it, and then do whatever steps. While you're doing that, I'm gonna be doing the depart call and doing all that shit. Well, while we're doing all that, I'm like, looking at my paperwork, doing my live load call, and my foot wasn't on the brake as much as I had hoped it would be. So I started rolling, and I barely, I still tapped this car that was in front of me, and just lack of focus. And it was like no damage or anything like that. But I think a lot of people get failed by the system. As a matter of fact, there's another person in Prime just did a video about a trainer or a trainee that quit Prime and all that stuff, and she actually had valid points. She had a trainer that was gonna train her, but rather than that, she had to go through the system and get with the trainer that was going to take time off immediately, and then take another one that had some other shit, and they just let her go with who she was going to be with earlier, which was Terry at Tim Travels. That girl would have probably still been at Prime, probably would have got the training done in one shot and all that, but rather than that, they had to run their own system, and she fell out because of that. And I know that I know that Prime had his issues with whatever was going on with Terry. One thing I can tell you, or I can say, is that is a damn good trainer right there. I know somebody that came in under me that Terry trained, and she said he's a damn good trainer. And probably, I'd probably say one of the better trainers. So, yeah, she probably fell out of the system because of that. I mean, why would you train? Why would you sign up to be a trainer knowing, well, I'm in National Guard. You know what? If you want to be National Guard, be National Guard and do shit on. Don't be trying to train nobody and be National Guard. That's just unfair. And then you got trainees out there. Am I getting paid? Am I not getting paid? All this kind of stuff. Then you have trainers not trying to pay people when they're not, so you got that whole concern to go through. Somebody else was gonna pick up this girl and maybe drive for 4 days and then take a week off or something. It just made no fucking sense. So my fleet manager has not asked me to train. I think he kind of knows where my thoughts are on it. But part of the reason I wouldn't do it is because I take that shit very seriously, and I don't think that a lot of people that do it take it as serious as it needs to be taken, or they take it as a chance for them to, as a power trip or something like that. As a matter of fact, my first trainer was probably like that. Well, here's one thing I do, and I don't know his student or anything. I didn't watch them damn videos or anything like that. One thing I will tell you is, if he took this training as nonchalant as it seems like he was, it's going to be hell to pay when he's out here on his own. And a 412, the 50,000 miles is one of the things, but it's not just, to me, it is the 50,000 miles. It's not the pay. It's not the, that's not the reason why I wouldn't train, would be the pay. The reason is the 50,000 miles. And if it was just 50,000 miles, maybe I could think about it. But if it's 50,000 miles and then it's like, oh, we'll get you back when we can, and then it's another 10,000 miles, it's just like, you know, if 50,000 miles, I think if you're like at 48,000 miles and you're in California and you get a load, like, if 50,000 should be bringing you to the terminal or something like that. Or if you're within a little bit, get off the truck. But like, it's hard. It is hard not knowing when somebody's going to get off the truck. It's hard for them because they don't know. So that's just a gripe. Just my little gripe on it. Like I said, I don't know about the pay as far as the training goes. I personally think that I could probably do well as far as that goes, but as far as if I was to train money-wise, I still think, because I talk to people that are still doing well. So I mean, I don't know, but like I said, sometimes if you get lucky, sometimes you just gotta, sometimes you might just want to quit when you're ahead. I've had all good trainees. I'm not sure how I would react if I was in a situation like I've heard some of these trainers get into with trainees. So like I said, I've probably, between all the people I train, I may have only raised my voice maybe once with, maybe not even all of them, maybe with just a few of them. And it wasn't like I was even yelling to yell. It was like yelling so they would understand, we need to stop. Like, we're, you know, if we get past a certain point, I'd rather like back up, you know, 1/8 of a mile than 1/2 a mile in case we're not in the right place. So if I say stop, I don't need you to be, I need it stopped. So that's kind of where, what's up? Speaking of Tim Travels, we were just, 412 was just talking about your student. And you know what? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how I would react to that. Like, I don't know how I would react if somebody's like, okay, well, first of all, nobody'd be able to say, well, I'm only driving as much as you because I'm out drive all my students. But if somebody was to say that, I would probably get routed right back to the terminal immediately. And I wouldn't like make a big fuss about it. I wouldn't like, you know, I might try to explain it to him a little bit or whatever, but after that, I'm not even going to be like, get in an argument about it. Just going to be like, all right, after this load, you know, get me to whatever terminal, and that's going to be the end of it. Because there's already certain things that I'm kind of prejudiced against anyway. Like the whole, and it's just me, I'm not saying that's wrong, but the, you know, I just drive 8 hours a day. or I only drive during the day. Those aren't things that, you know, it's like boot camp. I'm trying to make sure you understand what you're doing, but also build you to a point where you could do all this shit that might be uncomfortable. Running 10.5 hours at night in the rain with, whatever. I don't know, but it ain't, I don't know. I just I couldn't do it. Well, I appreciate the love for the conversations. And I have one regret of not training somebody. And it was just a situation. It was a younger guy, and he wasn't really able to really walk that far or that fast. And I still kick myself in the ass for not taking him, and it was just because I just didn't think he could keep up. And that was like, that still haunts me. Doesn't haunt me, but I still think about it to this day, not taking that guy. God damn. For those of you guys who just came here, I am at one of the most unsavory Petros in the United States. I'm out here in Atlanta. Petro, parked down here by the fuel island. It's probably the safest place to park. I-285 exit 12. And Terry, while you're up here watching this, somebody was still believing your little story about Prime knowing if you're in the sleeper berth because of the sensors and shit. Let's see. I don't know who this guy trucks train. That must be a comment for somebody else. I don't think that the way Prime does it is that bad if it's done correctly. Meaning, there's just some reasons. There's just some shit that you don't need to be up for. It doesn't need to be a team training thing or a team driving or a solo driver situation. If you're driving across 40, in the flatlands, or you're coming, that's why I said earlier that I used to set an alarm as soon as I knew we were going through certain places that I knew were challenging. One of those places would be US 65 and Ohio from West Virginia, because the navigation goes all crazy out there. I want to be up just to let them know, don't get off this path, or we're coming up on a serious downgrade or whatever. Now, as far as the compensation goes for the trainees, that's a bit of money right there. Not saying that if they drove with me in training, they probably would have made they would have earned all the money they made, but forgot what my fucking point was. I think it was about the money. It's hard to swallow it when you have like I knew somebody whose truck was down for like 10 days. it's a hard pill to swallow when your truck is down, you ain't making no revenue, your student's still making money, and you're paying for the hotel bill and the hotel, the trainee, and the bill for the truck. Man, I don't know, Slowpoke. I'm just out here chilling in Atlanta, Georgia. I'll wake up tomorrow morning and be like, I love the smell of piss in the morning. Well, actually, it's banging right now. The sun is just bringing it out. But yeah, I think it's more piss than diesel, but yeah. Mess around and need some Just for Men if my hair gets too much longer. Games for Fun TV, what's up? But I get to chill out here till tomorrow morning. $9 at Costco. So here's one thing. If I look in, so sometimes to check on a load, if you're with Prime, you can look and view documents. Sometimes the shipper will put in, they'll upload something saying the trailer's ready, here's what the trailer number is, all that kind of stuff. So when I looked in the load documents on this load, it looked like they were trying to request a 5 or 6 a.m. delivery out here on Monday, which is tomorrow. If I looked at my paperwork, it said we are requesting a 0500 appointment. My dispatch information says 0900. So just to cover my back, I sent that information out to them, asked them what they wanted me to do. They said stick with that, so I just covered my ass on that just to be sure. Yeah, that 11% downgrade, 78,000. I'm not sure if you were here earlier, and I'm not even sure if I finished the story, but I was out in Maryland with my first student, actually. No, second. And we were on like some 13% grade out in some U.S. highway that we got rerouted to because construction. But we're on this upgrade, 80,000 pounds going up this upgrade. And my student had been driving so slow because it's kind of curvy out there. He was afraid to go any faster. The truck bogged down and just fucking shut up. The engine stalled. So we're on this hill, stalled engine, 13% grade, cars behind us. And so finally I hopped in the driver's seat. Went back to drag racing days. Not that I was no serious drag racer, but I had a 69 Dodge Charger back in the day, so I did my fair share of, just street stuff or whatever. So anyway, I got on the gas, got on the brake, brought the RPMs up, and I was able to get up that mountain. But then I knew the rest of these hills were going to be just as steep. So you can't go no 25, 30 miles an hour. If you got one of them upgrades, you got to let that shit rip. If you get caught going faster, then you just got to get caught going faster. But you got to get the speed up coming up them grades. And that's why he stopped, was because he wasn't attacking them downgrades like he should have when he had the chance to get some momentum. Romeo is burning. I'm pretty sure I'll never get over all all of the grades because I don't plan on going over no Wolf Creek Pass. You know, there's plenty of off-brand passes, you know, in California, Colorado, that I don't plan on getting on. Where are you at, Leah? I just hope they bounce me out of Georgia. You know, I mean, if I am going to deliver in Atlanta, Costco isn't that bad. You know, if you can deliver at that Publix, you know, that's not bad on the outskirts. Well, what receiver are you at? But some of these people in Atlanta, boy, I'm going to tell you, they got a chip on their shoulder. You know, I try to, you know, I always try to, you know, put on a good face or whatever for some of these shippers and receivers. I was just at this, not just, about a year ago, I was up here at this place, and this guy was arguing with this girl at this receiver out here, and I was like, you're doing a good job. And she's like, why do you say that? I was like, God damn, never mind. It's an Atlanta thing, boy. I work for a company with a terminal just south of Atlanta. We got a drop yard over there in McDonough. Not a full terminal. They keep talking about it. About the only thing they trying to do quick at Prime is putting cameras in trucks. Everything else is a 40-year process. Well, you know, we're going to do load choice. We're going to beta test that. Man, they've been doing that since I was in high school. Well, we're going to have this terminal. So anyway, they're talking about that in Atlanta, but I have 4 trucks and yeah, damn, there's a Prime truck. I don't know what kind of trailer they're pulling. Oh yeah, the personal conveyance thing. Damn, I just lost my damn train of thought. Yeah, the 4th one was based on flawed information. That should never have happened anyway. As of right now, and I'll be honest with you, as of right now, my entire job has been offsetting everything else with these other trucks, whether it's maintenance or driver's time off or whatever the situation is. That's what I've been doing lately. December is going to be like a point where, you know, with 2 trucks paid off, if I continue to have the 4, then it should be, you know, things should fall into place a little bit easier then. Or if a driver wants to leave at that point, then I sell one of the trucks or, you know, whatever. But December is what I'm really looking to now. I just got to thug it out to December, and from there it will be it's from there, regardless of what the situation is, my schedule will start coming down. This shit's ridiculous. Do I have an issue with Wilson Logistics. No, I do not. As a matter of fact, the people at Prime, I saw somebody mention that in the meeting, and that is, man, Wilson Logistics has been with Prime a whole lot longer than most of these damn drivers have been in Prime. So when somebody's like complaining about Wilson Logistics getting freight, trust me, they will get rid of you before they get rid of Wilson's Logistics. So I don't have a problem with Wilson at all. Now, I wish that we could use their terminal. Like, do you know how many times I'd rather just stop at that Wilson Logistics terminal out in Springfield rather than going to ours? I mean, I think we could use the one in Oregon. I'm not sure, or wherever it is, but I haven't ever done that. I'm not sure. You know what? Wilson is basically Prime. I mean, that's Wilson's just a bigger grown-up version of, you know, one of a number of people that have a few trucks at Prime. You know, it's the same, you know, I don't have a problem with that. I think we were allowed to use a terminal in Washington or some shit like that. I've never done it. If I haven't heard anything about us being able to use Wilson's terminal in Springfield, but I would probably use that terminal before I use Prime's terminal if I didn't have to do anything. And it looks like a nice little terminal. Yeah. I will tell you one good thing about this Petro down here in Atlanta. With all the crap that's going on with this place, if you go down to that fuel island and eat the food that they cook down here for like dinner, this is the best in the country as far as this goes. They ain't using no, you know, TA Petro recipe. You got like some lady in there making her own shit up over there. That shit is good. Yeah, Romeo's burning. I don't know how many trucks they got, but they got a lot. I don't really... Okay, do I deliver in San Antonio? I've never delivered in San Antonio. The closest I've delivered to San Antonio was Laredo. Which is a whole nother level of headaches dealing with that. Man, I don't know about the pork chops. I know that chicken down there is the bomb. And that macaroni and cheese ain't the regular macaroni, you know, like the Pilot Flying J macaroni and cheese, where it just looks like that macaroni and cheese in here was looking like somebody like had a homemade recipe on that shit. How do I feel about the trucker boycott in New York? That shit was never gonna happen. I mean, I was boycotting New York before it was even cool. I'd never wanted to go to New York City, even when people wanted to go there, or, you know, people went there. I mean, to me, a boycott would just be an excuse not to go somewhere I don't want to go anyway. But that was never going to happen. I thought it was stupid. First of all, it was a stupid-ass boycott to begin with. And as bad as freight is right now, you're going to cut off that? Yeah, no, that wasn't going to happen. And if they did boycott and drivers weren't going down there, they would just raise the rate to a point where a driver would go down in there. There's nothing about delivering in New York that I like. And I'm talking about the city or Long Island. I got tricked into going to a city in New York one time because it sounded like it would be somewhere upstate New York or something. Forgot the name of it. Shit was in Long Island, which in itself isn't bad. I mean, if you got to go anywhere in New York, that's probably the best place to go. But just not trucker friendly. None of that stuff. Went down somewhere between Queens and where was it? Between Queens and the Bronx, or Queens and Brooklyn, or something like that. That was a clusterfuck. So now, if I ever get a load that's going down, I'm not trying to go down nowhere in the Bronx. Now, if I get a load and it says anywhere in New York, I Google that point to say like such and such New York to Jersey City, and that'll like kind of tell me the distance it is away. And if it's like far enough out, then I'll go there. But I'm not trying to go down in that area unless that shit, now unless it pays so much they got to put it on layaway. But I don't, there's nothing about that I like. And I definitely, one of the things I hate about New York is them box drivers down there. Obviously, if you're a box driver and all that you do is drive around New York, you know exactly where you got to be, what lane you got to be in, all this kind of stuff. These guys are all driving through there 70 miles an hour, zipping in and out of traffic and everything. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to figure out what fucking lane I need to be in. Why are a huge amount of serial killers truck drivers? Shit, probably because this shit can make you crazy. I don't think you can rely on that Vince Lombardi service plaza out there. And even if you can, depending on what time you're delivering, you still, like when I went to the place in Long Island, if I'd have stayed there, because I got out there about 10 hours early, how long is it going to take for me to get across the bridge? First of all, you know, just too many. And that place just, I mean, I stopped through there one time. That does not look like a nice place to stop either. Everyday barbecue and cooking. Miss you, brother. I was just thinking about you the other day, man. I was in the day that they had that eclipse. You had mentioned that you were thinking about driving down to I forget where you were going to drive to watch the eclipse, and I was like picking up right kind of down there by where you live. I forget the name of the city, but there's a city that's right next to where you pick up that I was picking up at. Damn, can't remember the city. But I miss everybody in that whole barbecue and cooking world. The traffic was bad. Actually, that morning of that eclipse, I'd left Indiana where the eclipse was supposed to go right over. And there was already... Yeah, is that where... If you were going to Effingham, but that's not where you live. I was picking up right near Rockford. I forget what city it was. There's an airport out there near where I was picking up at. At what speed will Prime call me about? I'm not sure. If you're talking about truck speed, I don't know. Not O'Hare. It's a small airport by your house. Or by, you know, kind of by your house, if I remember correctly. What's up, Hassan? I'm sure if you go like 76 miles an hour or something, somebody might call you from Prime or get a critical event or something like that. Yeah, I think it might be that. But there's a place that I picked up. The only reason I know this is because maybe a couple of years ago I called you from where I was picking up, and you're like, "That's right by my house." So wherever that was, it was the same place, and you said it was by your house. So anyway, that is about it. I'm about to roll off of here. Okay, you heard 30 or 74 for more than 30 seconds. I don't know. On my truck, the Jake brakes are going to start getting, whether you have your foot on the gas or not, once you get about 70, it'll let you maybe get up to 73 or 74, but the Jakes are going to be pretty aggressive at that point, whether you have your foot on the brake or not, or gas or not. All right, everybody, drive safe. I'm about to get off here, take advantage of this sleep, and go from there. I appreciate you guys stopping by, though. As always, comment, subscribe. I'm out.